So we have already discussed about the consideration part. Okay, to make a contract enforceable, there has to be the consideration which is to be some pecuniary value, which should carry some pecuniary value, or a consideration which has some materialistic value, and there is a mutual consideration which are concerned that a party which is promising to do a particular act and the other party who are make a mutual consideration which has the value, some value which is pecuniary or materialistic in the eye of law. So again we have learned that the to make a contract enforceable or to make a valid contract, the competency of the parties is required. So what basically make a party competent to contract? Every person who has attained the age of majority and who has not been disqualified entering into a contract is competent to contract. Therefore, the following persons are parties incompetent to contract. Who are they? A minor, a person below the age of 18 years, a person of unsound mind or insane, a person disqualified by any law to contract. So these kind of persons, they are not competent to contract. A person who has not attained the age of majority, a person who is of unsound mind and who is barred by law or disqualified by any law to contract. Thus an agreement with a minor is absolutely void. In a very popular case, Mohiri Bibi versus Dharmdas Ghosh, a minor mortgaged his house in favor of a moneylender and received a certain amount from him. The Privy Council held that the moneylender is not entitled to get the money back which was advanced to the minor. This is because only a person capable of entering into an agreement can make a contract. No contract took place in the above case. The agreement is void ab initio. Like you cannot enter into a contract which is with a person who is a minor, because he is not authorized to do such acts. So if you make this kind of contract with a minor, later you cannot plead in front of the court of law that it is a mistake on your side, because mistake of facts are sometimes excused, that we have already learned, but mistake of law is not excused in front of the court of law. As being a citizen of your country, you are supposed to you are supposed to know the general laws which are prevailing in your country. So if you are ignorant of it and make some kind of mistake on your part, later you cannot plead in front of the court that I was ignorant of the particular law. It will not be excused by the court. So minor and the rule of estoppel. So what is the rule of estoppel? When you are, by operation of law, you are debarred from doing a particular act. So this is called the principle of estoppel. So further, a situation may arise where a minor has declared or intentionally caused or permitted another person to believe him to be a person who has attained the age of majority. Upon such belief, if the moneylender advances some money to the minor, can the minor be held liable to pay? The Mohiri Bibi case clearly ruled out that the rule of estoppel does not apply against minor. It means a minor cannot be held liable to repay a loan even if he has procured it by misrepresenting him as a major person. Okay, so even the minor misrepresented him to be a major, and you being deceived was into a situation made ready to enter into a contract with a minor, even in this situation you cannot plead in front of the court that the minor will be liable. Under no situation, if it is proved that the respective person has not attained the age of majority, you cannot enforce the particular contract. Even some misrepresentation or something like that has happened to you, you cannot plead it in front of the court. Minor and the rule of restitution. So again a question arises as to the rule of restitution applying against a minor. Restitution means to restore or return the benefit received by a minor under an agreement. A minor is not liable to restore the benefits received under a void contract except under certain cases. So a minor, it is not only a fact that the respective person cannot enforce the particular agreement which he has made with a minor. Even the minor is not liable to restore the benefits received under a void contract. Even if the minor has, taken some benefits under the contract, you cannot, plead in front of the court that the minor should be, forced to restore the particular benefits. But there are some situations, there are some exceptional situations. What are they? A minor who has obtained money or goods by misrepresenting him to be major can be compelled to restore the benefit to the extent he or his estate is benefited. If some benefit or permanent nature has been accrued to him, if some benefit of permanent nature has been accrued to him, he has to restore it. For example, a minor has to restore a car or a house purchased from a loan amount, but he cannot be forced to repay any money used by him for temporary enjoyment on eating, drinking, movies, parties, clothes, etc. An existence, whatever is required for mere existence, clothes, lodging, medicine, health care, etc. under an agreement can be enforced against his property. Therefore, a minor meets an accident and a person expends money for his hospital expenses, he would be reimbursed from minor's property. Or a minor's parents are out of station, his neighbor lends him money to buy food and clothes for himself. His claim to repayment would lie against minor's property. তাহলে তিনটে এখান থেকে দেখো কয়েকটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট পয়েন্টস উঠে আসছে। প্রথম কথা হচ্ছে, ইফ ইউ আর এন্টারিং ইনটু অ্যান এগ্রিমেন্ট উইথ আ মাইনর, even if the minor has induced you to enter into the agreement by way of some kind of misrepresentation, you cannot plead it in front of the court that that the minor can be forced to repay whatever benefits he has enjoyed as against you. But there are some kind of situations when you can make the court convinced to repayment by the minor. What are the situations? Like if the minor has done something which by nature is permanent, you can claim it back from the minor. Maybe he has taken some kind of, he has taken money from you and has bought some property against the money. It can be a house or a car, whatever it is. In these situations, the court can give an order to restore those particular things. But if the minor has taken money from you and has enjoyed the money for the purpose of temporary enjoyment, for example eating, drinking, movies, parties, then he cannot be forced, to repay the money. But if he has made something, has enjoyed the money for the purpose of his some real cause which is necessary for his existence, as against the property which maybe he has accrued by using the money taken in advance from you, you can request a repayment of the particular money which he has used against the property, you can be reimbursed, or you can request a restoration of your money as against the property of the minor, which he may have been using, by some kind of accrual or some kind of benefit, using the particular sum of money which you have advanced to the minor. But if he has taken the money and enjoyed it for some temporary purpose, temporary enjoyment, you cannot claim a repayment as against it. But if he has done something of permanent nature, or he has used it for the purpose of his existence, you can claim the repayment against the property of the minor. Person of unsound mind. Similarly, a person of unsound mind is not competent to contract. An agreement with such person is absolutely void, like that of minor. However, a person's mental disorder is such that he is of sound mind for some times, and generally of unsound mind, he can make a valid contract when he is of sound mind. Therefore, a patient in a mental asylum can enter into an agreement during those intervals when he is of sound mind. So we have already discussed about this fact, which is the medical lunacy. The persons who are suffering some kind of grave mental insanity or disorder, they have some lucid intervals. Like when they are generally suffering from the disorder, but for that period of time they are in a normal situation. So if some kind of agreement is entered during the lucid interval of that particular time, and if it can be proved in front of the court that during the time when the agreement was made, the person was enjoying normal mental health, who is otherwise sick or suffering from disorder, maybe some grave mental disorder, a person of unsound mind, but if you can prove in front of the court that during the time when the agreement was made, the person was enjoying a normal mental health, then maybe you will be able to enforce the particular agreement in some cases. So what is the legal principle? Example 55. A minor is not competent to contract. Factual situation: a minor mortgaged his house and received advance. The mortgagee files a suit against the minor to recover the money advanced by him. The minor mortgager takes the plea that the suit is not maintainable as there was no valid contract. Decide. An agreement with minor is absolutely void. It is voidable at the option of the parties. The minor is liable to return the money received by him as advance. So among the options, and as per the legal principle is given here, as I'm telling you again and again, in this kind of questions you have to keep concentration on the legal principle given. You need not tally or compare the given legal principles with the with the details of law that you have already learned. You have to concentrate on the given legal principles, which is a minor is not competent to contract. So on the basis of the legal principle, here the right option will be an agreement with minor is absolutely void. That is why it can be enforceable. So what is example 56? Example 56. Legal principle: an agreement is enforceable at law if parties competent to contract enter into it with free consent. An agreement is enforceable at law if parties competent to contract enter into it with free consent for consideration, and the contract is not contrary to law and against public policy. So what is the factual situation? A boy of 16 years entered into an agreement to sell his flat at Bandra for sum of Rs 5 lakh. A's father is very annoyed with A at the transaction and does not allow delivery. The buyer files a suit for a specific performance. The buyer will obtain relief because A freely entered into the contract. The buyer will not obtain relief because the agreement is with consideration. The buyer will not succeed because A's father does not approve the contract. D. The buyer will not succeed because A is below the 18 years of age. So merely on the basis of the fact that you are entering into an agreement with a person who is a minor, who is not attained the age of majority, the buyer will not succeed because this kind of contract cannot be enforced. Even if the minor has represented himself to be a person of major, even if he has taken the advance amount, the contract cannot be enforced. But any kind of relief can be claimed. Like we have already learned, if some portion of the money taken in advance by the minor has been spent in some mere enjoyment, like food, drinks, cinema, parties, those portion of amount cannot be reclaimed. But if the minor has taken the the money and some kind of materialistic accrual has happened as against it, like he has invested it into some kind of property or whatever it is against the property of the minor, even a minor himself, a person who has not attained the majority, cannot himself hold a property in his own name. There has to be a legal guardian. That is some other aspects of law. But if he has invested the money in some property or which has some real value in the eye of law, you can reclaim it as against it. Okay. So there are some portion left which I will cover tomorrow, right, starting from the free consent of parties till the end. And before ending today's session, I will again like to make you remember that just open the portal as early as possible and try to, I mean you have to try to log in first and see the details, make the documents ready, and then try to fill up the form so that no error happens while you are filling up the forms. Do it as neatly and as perfectly as possible, and make a work plan as my knowledge is concerned. Most of the candidates are going to lose marks, or they generally lose marks in the analytical reasoning or mathematical operations, even in the GK parts. GK completely depends on the amount of knowledge you are holding and your senses and perceptions which you generally have. But analytical reasoning and mathematical operations or the quantitative aptitudes, it completely depends on your practice. So right now, from now on, you have to make a proper work plan, that every day how much time you are going to contribute for your CLAT preparation and how many hours in which subjects. You have to distribute it properly, and then you are going to fetch very good results. So I will try to chalk out a plan for you and I will share it later with you. And today I'm ending the session here. Next day we'll start right from here and complete the Indian Contract Act, and we'll try to enter into Indian Constitution as well, and we'll share some other study materials which I have prepared on legal reasoning part. So best of luck to all of you. I'm ending today's session. If you have any question, you can ask me, or I'll end it. Okay. See you tomorrow.